Listen, guys. We'll get together and do something later, said Fraser. I just need to go somewhere with Brett for a while, if that's okay. That's fine, said Ian. Let us know when you're back. All right. He pulled Brett away without saying anything more. Brett didn't know what Fraser was planning. They got into a taxi and Brett asked, What's going on? It's great to see you, but why all the mystery? Fraser smiled wordlessly until the taxi arrived outside a tall building. Brett got out of the car, and when he saw the familiar building in front of him, he scowled and said in a depressing tone, You know that I haven't been here in the last 3 years, don't you? Fraser nodded and said, I know it's not easy, Brett, but a man must have the courage to climb up from where he's fallen. Fraser looked at the building in front of them and continued. I've been asking around, and I've discovered that Yasmin is still working here, and has even been given the job of manager. I know you won't want to do this, but just come in with me. I promise that I won't let you down. When Brett and Fraser left the company, they became laughingstocks there. They had been betrayed by Ben's girlfriend, Yasmin Rogers, and their research had been stolen. Yasmin had not only made a fortune selling their research secrets, but had also hooked up with the company's new owner and became his mistress. Because of that humiliation, Brett was still living in the shadows. Although he was still hugely talented in IT, he had been depressed ever since then. Thinking about those past events, Brett felt a heart-wrenching pain. He shook his head and gave a wry smile. Forget it, Fraser, he said. Let bygones be bygones. I don't want to think about it anymore. If I go in now, I'll only receive more contempt and ridicule. Also, I don't want to see that woman again. Fraser didn't say anything, but took out a document from his backpack and handed it to his friend. Brett, I won't force you to come up, but take a look at this first. If you still don't want to go in there after reading it, then I'll leave here without saying another word. The document was a contract. Brett casually glanced at it, and his eyes widened with excitement when he realized what he was looking at. After reading the contract carefully from beginning to end, the look of delight on his face became more intense. You don't need to say anything. Just tell me whether you want to go in there or not. Fraser knew his trick would work. Heck yes, Brett exclaimed. Brett willingly followed Fraser into the building, and they took the elevator to the 9th floor. They had started their own business in one of the offices in the same building. After what had happened then, they had been forced to reveal their company's secrets, and had faced a huge penalty for a breach of contract. They had no choice but to transfer the company to someone else in order to repay their debt. Being in that building again, they both felt regretful for what they had lost. When they reached the 9th floor, a beautiful girl at the front desk greeted them politely. Hello, gentlemen. Can I help you? Do you have an appointment? Fraser took the lead and said, Go and get Jim Crowther out here. We've come to take over the company. We're the new bosses and we need to see him now. Jim Crowther was the man who had bought the company. You're taking over the company? She asked questioningly. She looked at Fraser suspiciously. When she saw that he was dressed in cheap, casual clothes, her look of suspicion turned to disdain. He's dressed like a slob, yet he calls himself the company's new boss, she thought. Who would believe that? Mr. Crowther doesn't see anyone without an appointment. I suggest that you call his secretary and come back at another time. The front desk lady spoke arrogantly. Just get him out here, Fraser demanded. She raised her voice and said, Sir, I'm not going to do that. I suggest that you leave now, or I'll call security. What's going on? What's all the noise about? A woman with heavy makeup and red lipstick walked over. When the woman at the desk saw her, she said, Miss Rogers, these two people are here to cause trouble. They say that they're taking over the company, but I suspect that they're crazy. I was just about to call security. Oh, That's interesting. I'd like to see what our new bosses look like. Yasmin spoke confidently. After she said that, Fraser and Brett turned around to face Yasmin. Upon seeing the pair, Yasmin's eyes widened in surprise. Then, thinking about them being the new bosses, she covered her mouth and burst into laughter. I'm afraid you misunderstood them. They're not crazy. They're old acquaintances. The other woman was surprised at Yasmin's reaction. Miss Rogers, you know them? So what's this about them being the new owners of the company? Well, it's half true, Yasmin replied. They're not the bosses now, but they used to be. After she said that, her expression changed. She gave them a disdainful look and said, You two really have some nerve coming back here. I can't believe you still have the cheek to call yourselves the bosses. That's enough, Brett said coldly. Yasmin, we don't care about what happened 3 years ago. You don't have to be so arrogant. If we'd let people know about what happened at that time, do you know what would have become of you? She looked at him blankly and didn't answer. You'd have gone to prison, he continued. You'd still be there now. For a moment, she looked slightly rattled by what he had said. However, she gave the woman at the desk a wink and put on a confused expression. What did you say? 3 years ago? Are you talking about when we broke up? Or are you still hurting because I cheated on you? If you're trying to threaten me, don't waste your time. The police won't even give you the time of day, Yasmin bullied Brett. Fraser couldn't stand it anymore. You little... Just as he was about to argue on behalf of his friend, Yasmin turned on him. Shut up, Fraser. You're even more useless than Brett. I heard that you've been staying with your wife's family ever since you got out of here, and that you became a cook. And Brett is just a security guard who does odd jobs on the side. The pair of you are total losers. Fraser had the urge to go up and slap her. If she had been a man, he would have done it already. Brett shook his head at him warningly, and then he turned to Yasmin and said, Look in the mirror and ask yourself whether you're really living a happy life now. Thank you for your concern, but I'm very happy, she said haughtily. Ever since I got rid of you, my pauper boyfriend, I've had everything I ever wanted. My quality of life is so high that you couldn't imagine it. She lifted her hand to reveal an expensive bracelet. Do you see this? She asked. It's worth more than you can earn in a year. Also, the clothes I'm wearing cost thousands of dollars, and I have a limited edition designer bag. Did you ever give me things like these? I eat at the best restaurants, and I live in a luxurious apartment. Things have gotten much better for me. Why don't you look at your appearance, Brett? You look like you haven't changed your clothes for several days, yet you still have the cheek to talk to me about happiness. Brett just looked at her as if she were a lost cause. Their lives had gone in different directions, and they had nothing in common anymore. He wondered what he had ever seen in her. He said, I understand where you're at, and I don't have anything else to say to you. Just go and get Crowther. Her face lit up as she said, If you're here to apply for a job in security or cleaning, then I'm the person you need to see. But before I can take you on, I need to satisfy myself that you're capable of doing the job. She crossed her arms snobbishly as she extended one of her high heels toward them. She said, On the way into the office this morning, I accidentally dirtied my shoes, and they have a lot of dust on them. Can you lick them clean for me? If you two really want to be cleaners, you'll need to do a good job. Be careful with them because my shoes are worth 3 or 4 months of your pay. Yasmin, you're going too far, Fraser said angrily. You look like you want to hit me, she said. Come on then, hit me if you dare. Seeing her face getting closer and closer to his, Fraser felt a wave of disgust. Instinctively, he pushed her away but couldn't control his strength. She yelled and then fell to the floor. She looked shocked and shouted, "You're crazy! You really dared to hit me?" "I didn't hit you," Fraser said. "I don't hit women, even tramps like you. To be honest, hitting you would make my hands dirty."
To watch the full episode, install the Pocket FM app